Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dark Phoenix Gaming, and you are watching Kaiserreich, Legacy of the Weltkrieg, for Hearts of Iron 4. Now, back in the day, when I was streaming regularly quite a bit, Kaiserreich was a regular feature of mine, both on YouTube and on Twitch. And in fact, I have a Kaiserreich series going on my YouTube channel right now, which I still need to finish uploading. The long and short of it is that I've just not managed to find time to get all the videos up for that one yet. Anywho, that one was with the Netherlands. And a lot of people, it's been a while since I did a stream series, a new one, rather, for Kaiserreich, might not know what this mod is, so allow me to explain. But we'll do that from the new game menu. Kaiserreich is an alternate history mod for Hearts of Iron 4. And the scenario it's set in is one in which Germany won the First World War, and has therefore become the dominant world power, as opposed to Britain or France or the United States. And a whole bunch of stuff has changed as a result, though not all these changes are realistic. They're plausible to the degree that you can see. It's not just Germany winning World War I caused this, it's a bunch of things just sort of happened differently that at the same time that are tangentially related to Germany winning, because of the things that led to Germany winning, so a lot of stuff is different. For example, the main cause of Germany actually winning in this timeline is, in our timeline, Germany did two things that arguably removed any chance they had of winning on the Western Front after they knocked out Russia. Number one, resuming unrestricted submarine warfare, which really ticked off America and started them on the path towards intervening on the side of the Allies. The other thing Germany did was a little number called the Zimmermann Telegraph, whereby they suggested to Mexico that it would be great fun if they were to declare war on and invade the United States to get the territories lost in the Mexican-American War, roughly 100 years before, I might add, back. Which is basically the straw that broke the camel's back, and in combination with a bunch of other factors brought the US into the war. And you can argue on the moral ambiguity of the US entering that particular war all you want, but those are some of the big factors. And the thing that Kaiserreich changes is that, number one, Germany never restarts unrestricted submarine warfare. And though it's not explicitly addressed in the lore, as far as I remember, I don't believe they will have bothered with the Zimmermann Telegraph either. And as a result, there are no waves of fresh American troops on the Western Front. And combine that with Germany being able to use the wheat from Ukraine, which they took off of Russia, Germany is able to hold out for a few more years and finally make a breakthrough and win. You're rare. Hello. Welcome to Kaiserreich. I don't know why I'm bothering with the lore preamble. Probably a lot of people will not care. But yeah, back in the day, I used to do a ton of Kaiserreich. I think I have like 3-4 series of Kaiserreich that I uploaded the VODs for to my YouTube channel. And no joke, at the time when the Darkest Hour version was the only real version of Kaiserreich I knew about, Kaiserreich was the reason I bought that game. But yeah, there's a bunch of other neat lore stuff going on, obviously, but I'm not going to take the time to go over all of it. I have a bunch of previous series where I actually bother to go into the lore and narrative and stuff in more detail. Not gonna do that here. What I will do is probably read most of the text, just because for internet connectivity speed reasons, I'm not really able to stream above 480p, so reading the text just feels helpful to you, dear viewers. We'll start out with the fact that we are going to be playing this as the German Empire. Germany is, to my mind, one of the best starter nations in Kaiserreich, and even though I played the mod a lot, I'm not particularly amazing at it or anything. But the thing with Germany is, at least back when I first started playing Kaiserreich, they had enough of a padding, so to speak, that you could afford to screw up in a few minor places and it wouldn't completely doom your campaign. Whereas playing as, say, Russia or the United States, in a lot of ways you really had to be on the ball, because you could quite conceivably screw yourself if you made too many critical mistakes. But the reason I want to play as Germany right now is because some of the changes to the AI that have been made since the last time I played as them. Most notably the fact that the Russian AI is basically scripted to declare war on Germany once they end up at war with the Internationale. And I'll explain the socialist thing a little bit more in depth once we get in. But my favorite nation leader during the American Civil War? I don't actually know. It's been a very long time since I played America in Kaiserreich, so I've never had much luck with the Civil War. Huey is best, you say. Why's that? Never, like I said, not played with America much in Kaiserreich. It's something I want to do at some point, just like Japan. But the reason I haven't done Japan very much is because having to micro so much with the Navy for literally everything is something I'm still working on being good at. I can do Navy to a degree, but I'm not very good with it. Which probably makes playing a global empire somewhat of a silly thing. But yeah, like I said, Russia being hard-coded to attack you during the war with the Internationale, I think will make things interesting. Because there's actually a chance of a two-front war, which will be a nice challenge. the last time I played Germany was, I think it was just at the time, slightly before actually Man the Guns was coming out. And I didn't end up at war with Russia until after I'd beaten France and Italy. The British were still in it, obviously, because they're stubborn little fucks who don't know how to say uncle. And the only reason I ended up at war with Russia in that campaign is because they declared war on Finland, who was in my faction. Anyways, should probably read the history thing like I said I was going to. In 1919, after years of war and with the Entente nearing collapse, the German Empire saw its victory made manifest in the Treaty of Versailles. The Weltkrieg made Germany an uncontested world power. That things have been going downhill for her since the 1930s. A recessive world economy has dampened the nation's industries, while other nations' manufacturing power recovers, and now nationalism grows in the eastern client states, which are starting to drift away from the Reich. In 1936, cracks in her mighty empire... No, I skipped a line, I'm an idiot. In 1936, Germany stands at a crossroads. Already we can see cracks in her mighty empire as her ancestral enemies are regaining their strength. As you can see, we are Germany, and the map obviously looks a lot different from vanilla, which shouldn't need to be said. But yeah. Fighting a land war in Asia. Oh, the loading screens are quite hilarious sometimes. They really are. Blah 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 credits. And oh yeah, colored puppets is the other mod I'm using, just so all of my puppets are the same color to a degree as the parent nation / overlord. I just kind of like it because it makes it easier for me to tell what countries are my clients as opposed to other sovereign nations. It just makes it easier, which is why I use that mod. Anyways, with the few other slightly interesting things that someone might find of note. Austria-Hungary managed to stick together-ish as a result of not being on the losing side, but you could almost argue they're even more divided than they were before, which is saying something. Because essentially every single region in the entire fucking empire has autonomy now. So it's an empire in name only. The Ottomans somehow managed to survive. I'm not quite sure how they didn't split up. I mean, let's be fair, the Ottoman Empire was a hot mess even before the Weltkrieg, and stuff like the Arab Revolt and what have you probably would have happened sooner or later even without the war, so... Germany... I'm guessing Germany probably propped them up and put down all their rebellions for them or something, I don't know. And this must be a change from one of the patches, but that's happened since the last time I played. But Armenia is no longer an independent country. It used to exist over here just as an Ottoman vassal state, but not so anymore. The Ottoman system of government and everything is a pretty interesting look, and they have some pretty cool mechanics, but I am nowhere near good enough at this game to attempt playing as the Ottoman Empire. It would not go over well. I'm sure it's interesting, and I've watched a couple of Let's Plays of it that looked very cool, but I'd have to be a much, much better player at this game to be able to manage that, which is why I haven't tried. That would make the fucking League of 8 Provinces look like a cakewalk by comparison. Or even the Fentian, to be honest. Based off of what I've seen. 32% ratio, wow. They must be a hot mess then. And yes. Oh, sorry, hang on a second. Is that any better? I reduced the volume of my audio in OBS a little bit. Yeah, sorry, I have a whole bunch of different games that I stream, and the audio is a bit of a mix between them. The last two I was doing were Sekiro and Prophecy of Pendor, so audio's a bit of a mixed bag between everything. It's good to have someone here who can tell me when it's nice and balanced. Yeah. Should probably start playing now. Let's see here. First thing I think we need to do is our research. I always start out with this. Just cause. Let's see. Industry. Basic machine tools, plus construction, yeah. Always start with those. Let's see. Radio. Or computer. Let's see here. We don't really need to research heavy fighters just yet. Let's see. Artillery, I think. Let me see for our next one. I am the absolute worst when it comes to the naval technologies, by the way. The little things for adding bigger guns and stuff to your ships and all, and just generally remembering to design better ships. I am awful at that. I'm forever forgetting to do it. So it should come as no surprise that will probably happen here. We'll research those, I guess. Unless you could think of any better picks, that is. Now, let's check out our national focuses. Do I want to do anything in particular? Like I said, it's been a very long time since I played Kaiserreich, and longer still since I played Germany, so this is probably going to be little, well, not exactly the best. State of the economy. Imperial restructuring. Hmm. 21 days. I'm going with the 1934 naval plan. I have no idea why, given how bad I am with Navy, but I am. The Kaiserreich Marine stands unchallenged on any sea for now. The Union of Britain, the French Commune, the Americans, and the Japanese all jealously seek to catch up with us, and if left unchecked, our naval domination will end as quickly as it began. We should continue the large Navy modernization project initiated back in 1934 to keep our fleet one step ahead of our rivals, which will give us the event the 1934 naval program and construction projects will begin. That works. Ow. I need to get some construction going. I'm going to do a mix of civilian and military industry, I think. Just so that we can start doing some recruiting and the like. Probably it'll be primarily civilian. I can always convert it over afterwards if need be. We'll see. Let's do a few of these. That'll do for now. I can come back and do more with the construction later. We're missing a little bit of tungsten, but not enough for me to actually trade for it. In general, I tend not to trade for my resource unless it's unless I need 8 or more. Is generally how I go for it. We have 20 free dockyards. So I probably need to tell them to do something. Let's see here. My industry building? Okay, let's see. That's for military. And that's for civilian. You say I'm smart. Why is that? I was just putting down a bit of both military and civilian. Just because I figure I should at least be building something. One at a time is better than clumping. Oh. I guess I'm inadvertently a genius. Hooray me. Now, let's see. Some ships. Let's see. Here, improved heavy hull. Forward cruiser. Some of these ships I may likely end up canceling at some point, to be honest. We will see. 15. The rest can just go to convoys. Taking a fleet. Let's see here. You guys can have your destination set as all the same. There we go. And of course, our lovely national spirits, right here. Victors of the Weltkrieg, quenched militarism, and Imperial pride. And yeah, those first two are a hot mess. I thought the French in vanilla had it bad. Oh boy. For now, I am going to have to be setting up our armies here. Let's see. 36. I thought that was to be 21 divisions here. And for the moment, you guys can just kind of camp on the border with the Frenchies. The borders, I should say. We can do some of them on the French border. You guys, on the other hand, since you're going to be my other front, you get your own field marshal. I won't be using them for some time yet, but these troops are going to be the ones that have to deal with the Russians. They can just hang in the United Baltic Duchy for now. I'll get individual separate armies for each of my client states bordering in Russia. Well, I say client states. Technically, the Kingdom of Ukraine is a German ally, not a German client. But the guy in charge, he is a German/Austrian, given that he's a Habsburg. So, technically, somewhere between a client state and fully independent, I guess. Speaking of, I always found it kind of weird that in Kaiserreich, Poland is sandwiched right between Germany's client states, and Austria's easternmost autonomous territory, for lack of a better phrase. And yet Poland is independent and has their, and we have military access to them. I never quite figured out what Poland's deal was in Kaiserreich, to be honest. guys. Actually, you. I'm going to cancel that and give the armies individual orders. You lot can chill there. You can do there. Hooray for accidentally selecting things. And now, news theater. This is how I deal with the colonial garrison troops. I just add them all to the same army and let them figure it out. Maybe not the most intelligent way to do it, but to be honest, I cannot be bothered to figure this whole mess out. They can do it for me. There we go. No, I don't need to garrison part of Somalia for Ethiopia, thank you. And there's only 6 of them, so they don't even get a commander. There's 23 there. Okay. You guys can all stand along that army line. And that is my setup done, I hope. The only thing in our decisions right now is to assume control of some navies, which I don't care to do. In fact, I'm going to tell the game to stop harassing me about that. And of course, we have basically no manpower. Well, I say that, we have about 244,000. But that's not much. For the moment, I'm gonna kick the speed up, and we can get started.